Hello, people of the space. So nice to see you again. Is it always the last straw that breaks the camel's back? Join us today on rLounge to hear just what straws those might be. First up, batten down the hatches. A grandmother's ship has sailed. I have forbidden mother-in-law from ever seeing my children again. My children, male 5, female 4, are biracial. I'm brown and my husband is blonde. My children are brown like me. I'm also 14 plus. Pregnant, my husband's brother and his wife are both blonde, and their 2 boys are very blonde. Before the children were in the picture, I always thought mother-in-law was decent and civil enough to be around. That changed, however, when the children were born. I started noticing very early on that she treated my children differently and was more attached to their cousins. She would say how the cousins reminded her of her sons and how they looked a lot like my husband and his brother. I felt uncomfortable by her remarks, but the real issues started when my children were old enough to notice the different treatment of them. In holidays and birthday parties, my children would get a fraction of the gifts their cousins did, and last Christmas was painful to live through watching my little boy so distraught and confused when his cousins had received a pile of gifts each, while he and his sister only received 1 gift each. I thought I had to do something about this. I suspected it racial motives, but I didn't talk about these concerns without anyone but my husband, who wasn't really sure if that was the case. I just simply stated, however, that I didn't want my children to be exposed to this kind of treatment no matter why, and therefore I had decided my mother-in-law should see my children on their own whenever she's interested, but not in the company of their cousins. We love the cousins very much, and I didn't want my children to resent them for something they didn't cause. Mother-in-law tried to explain that this was only because we live further away, 2 hours, while the cousins lived just a few houses down. She knew them better, etc. I didn't buy this and insisted on this solution. When one of the cousins had his birthday, we celebrated him a day before. My daughter turned 4 a week ago, and we had her party last Saturday. I had planned for mother-in-law to celebrate my daughter the day before on Friday, but she didn't show up. She made an excuse about her not being able to drive, so she needed to ride with my brother-in-law and his family. My heart sank, but I didn't want to create tension, so I let this pass. When it was time to open the presents, my mother-in-law took out 2 presents and gave 1 to each nephew. She then called my daughter to her and showed her a picture on her phone of a wooden car and told her that her present didn't arrive in time for her and she would send it forward as fast as she got it. The cousins opened their presents and they got toys. My son got nothing. He was so heartbroken that he just wouldn't leave my embrace the rest of the evening. My heart was swollen in my throat after what she did. It has always been a thing of her to do. When it's one of my children's birthday, she would get presents to all 4 children. But if it's one of the cousins, she would only get presents for the cousins. Thank God my daughter didn't understand much, and she just ignored mother-in-law and continued opening the rest of her presents. But I have had it with my mother-in-law. I told my husband that she is under no condition allowed to see my children again. I'm done, and I don't want her in our life until the children are old enough to decide for themselves. My husband thought I wasn't serious at first, and then he thought me unreasonable. He probably doesn't realize yet how serious I am about this. Whatever her reasons are for treating my babies this way, I don't care. I texted her my decision the morning after, and she's been calling and texting my husband nonstop since. She's asking to meet to fix her mistake, but this ship has sailed a long time ago. I'm done. It's never okay for someone to be treated differently because of the color of their skin, and I'm so sorry that you experienced this and watch your children being treated like this by their own grandmother. Thank you for speaking up for yourself and your children, even if her behavior isn't due to race. Your mother-in-law needs to know that what she is doing is wrong. Kids are more observant than we think, and in a few years, if your mother-in-law were to continue on this way, your children would pick up on this, and they shouldn't grow up to think that her behavior is warranted or that they deserve such treatment. Your husband might not have seen this behavior or understood how completely inappropriate it is due to the way he grew up, but it's important that he also understands that what his mother is doing is wrong. In any case, it's important he advocates for his children and familiarizes himself with racial injustice. What do you think? Do you think the mother-in-law's actions are driven by race? Update. I thought I might do a little update. A lot has happened this morning, but I'm not going to go on a deep dive because nothing really matters and I haven't changed my mind and I don't think I will do either. Mother-in-law showed up today unannounced around 10 in the morning. She had around a dozen gifts with her for my children, and she was crying about how she felt hurt that she was misunderstood. You see, it was all an unfortunate misjudgment from her side. She thought my boy was old enough to understand he wasn't the birthday boy, and should therefore not be encouraged to accept gifts. The cousins, however, are a different matter because they're both younger, 3 and 4, and are used to seeing their granny all the time since they live down the street from her. She didn't want to cause any distress to them by giving my daughter a present and not them because they would be confused why Granny is ignoring them. I just listened to her, and my husband did all the talking, saying he understood, but that she should give me, time to think. She left without seeing the children, and honestly, I don't even remember her asking about them. I didn't buy her crocodile tears either. When she left, I told my husband I'm not going to give any gifts to my children from mother-in-law, and that he should have given them to her to take back with her. I told him that she wasn't sorry at all for the pain she's caused my son, and that she didn't even think about him. It was all me. He thought about that all morning, and later he told me he trusted my intuition and that he's going to respect my decision. I don't know for how long he's going to respect my intuition, but for now, I'm satisfied. I can't ask him to go no contact with his mom, but my children are protected from her evil. Thank you everyone for the support and have a great day. Edit. Thank you very much everyone. I'm still reading the comments both here and on my OP. I have decided to show my husband these posts and especially all the comments from people who've been in my children's shoes. He really needs to understand that even if this has nothing to do with race, many of you have suffered favoritism based on other reasons. It is bad, and it will leave marks on our children. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, and I'm sorry if I've reopened old wounds. It sounds like she was trying to buy your apology. Just because she lives closer to her other grandchildren doesn't mean she is unable to have a positive and active role in your children's lives. It's not about the gifts. It's the blatant, obvious favoritism. At the same time, it's extremely refreshing to see that your husband trusted you, heard what you had to say, and respects your decision. His support means the world. At the end of the day, you both have to do what's best for your children. Hopefully, this is the wake-up call that your mother-in-law needed and causes a cataclysmic shift in how she behaves toward you and your children. If she can't act with integrity and respect, then it's best not to subject your children to such actions. You've made the right decision. What do you think? How would you react if you were in this scenario? Could you forgive her? Let's see what the community had to say. Midnight Weirdness starts us off. Just wanted to add here that my sister and I were like your kids. We were also mixed race. At Christmas, we were given one gift to share while all my other cousins got individual gifts. Or we were told they forgot about us while handing gifts to all the other kids. We both no longer speak to them. We were aware from an extremely young age. Kids aren't stupid. They know what's going on. To assume they don't is a disservice to them. Our next comment comes from Joy Reader 0. Dear lady, may I talk to your husband a moment? Dear sir, look, Dad, even at 4 and 5, the kids are not stupid. By the time they are 6 and 7, they will have Granny pegged as a cruel liar who shames them in front of family. If you let her keep in contact, they will know that even better in later years as she continues her tricks. Here's the thing, Dad. They will also know that you are just fine with that. They will know you did not protect them. They will know that you agreed with her and you backed her up. And that this nasty, belittling woman was more important to you than your children were. For the rest of their lives, they will not forget. Is this what you want? Choose wisely. Our next story talks of a mother-in-law who expects the world from the only two people left they can stand to be around her. Or so she thought. Mother-in-law expects me to treat her on Mother's Day and her birthday. So, Mother's Day is coming up next month and my mother-in-law's birthday is coming up in the summertime. My mother-in-law is the type of person who always talks about her birthday or Mother's Day and will try to drop hints at my boyfriend and I to make sure we do something special for her on those days. She even made a comment saying, "Oh, Mother's Day is coming up. What are we doing?" Mind you, my boyfriend can't stand his mother and I can't stand her either. I've treated her the past 3 to 4 years for her birthdays and Mother's Day. She is just an ungrateful freaking person, and it's like nothing is ever good enough for her. I only treated her because she literally has no friends or family, and I felt bad for her. Last year on Mother's Day, I told her that I wouldn't be there with her because I was visiting my mom and treating her for Mother's Day. She basically guilt-tripped us, and I didn't want my boyfriend to be stuck with her, so we all went to my mom's work and took her out to eat after for brunch. My mother-in-law complained the entire brunch and said, "It doesn't even seem like Mother's Day today, blah, blah, blah," and just ruined the whole vibe. She was also butthurt that I got my mother more gifts than her. Also, she never acknowledges my birthday, even though she knows what day my birthday is. So this year, I've decided I'm not acknowledging her birthday anymore or treating her on Mother's Day, either because she expects everything out of me and constantly takes, never gives back. She's awful to both my boyfriend and we decided we are going to leave for the day on her birthday and going to treat my mother for Mother's Day instead. I've realized that it's not my problem as she doesn't have friends, etc., especially when she treats the 2 people that actually did grab for her and cared for her like crap. And I am done with her BS. I'm not going to treat someone who is undeserving of my time and energy. Your mother-in-law should be grateful to have someone so kind and considerate in her life. There's only so much you can do for people like that. You're absolutely right. You shouldn't waste your time and energy on those who take advantage of your goodwill, and it also isn't your responsibility to be her best friend. She sounds like she has some things that she needs to work through, and you can't help her with that, nor should you. Take the space you need from her. You don't need that type of energy around. Alright, enough of what I think. Now for the community's thoughts. Potato Bug Blue starts us off. Maybe you can get your mom to take the day off, and you, boyfriend, and your mom can go somewhere away for the day. Just text mother-in-law you both are out of town, and mute your phones. Next thought from LongJumping23357. Why is it on you to celebrate mother-in-law? Why not your boyfriend? Is mother-in-law the type that expects the woman in the family to be the default social coordinators? If you see yourself having a long-term relationship with boyfriend, and you don't want to be stuck planning these celebrations year after year, then put a stop to it now. DOP responds, my boyfriend is permanently disabled. He has a chronic illness, permanent nerve damage in his back, PTSD, and is unable to work. He has no source of income, and I support my boyfriend, financially, and I am his caregiver. My mother-in-law sees us as one, and because I am the able body out of my boyfriend and I have some money, she expects me to put out for everything. To be fair, my boyfriend has told me that I am not obligated to do anything for her, and this is the year that I am making the decision to not do crap for her. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us at rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss our next video. If you have feedback on today's content, please let us know in the comments below. We value what you have to say. See you next time.